Okay, so to get started with this research priorities meeting, what I've done is just taken a couple bullets here to try to identify what I think our goals are going to be during this meeting. You should all be able to see the shared screen at this point. And we've already taken care of introductions with those members here today. And I just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of the activities of the committee leading up to today's meeting. First of all, we had a Google form set up to collect ideas from anyone within the region that was sent out with GovDelivery. So we received 8 responses, and from those 8 responses, we sort of collected those and organized them at our recent committee meeting on May 11th, where we had 6 members present. We formally established ourselves, I guess, as the committee. And today, what I would like to do is help to guide us through the list of potential research topics and possibly add to that list if needed, and then develop and refine 3 priority groups from those topic areas to suggest for funding opportunities for NCSS projects. As a final item of business, we would also need to try to identify chair and co-chair for the 2024 regional NCSS meeting, which I believe is going to be held in Louisiana. So is there any other business anyone would like to get added here to our list so we know what we're working with? Or any modifications to our current tasks? Okay, hearing none, we'll just jump right in. And so in order to do this, I think I would just kind of go over what we have done previously. So we had a number of the attendees from our previous meeting are here today. Those 6 members are highlighted here now. Maybe only missing a couple of those folks. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and try to share with you the topic areas that we collected from the poll, as well as our attempt at organizing those topics. And so these are not in any particular order. And as you'll see, there's a little bit of overlap between some of these areas, which I'd like some help with today to kind of, condense and categorize a little bit better. But I'm just going to read through these, and then we can circle back to them to have discussion. So the first topic area was carbon and climate. And we tried to organize a couple of the items, including the coastal blue carbon, carbon storage and sequestration, and then some economics and carbon trading focus areas. The second major topic area that we identified was soil health related, in particular thinking about compaction, pH, structure. So these are kind of like DSPs, dynamic soil properties. And it's hard to separate carbon from soil health. So there's our first overlap. But other items that would fit under this umbrella for soil health would be enhancing soil biodiversity, so soil organisms, and then the different kinds of managements that might be the focus of federal programs related to soil health. Aaron mentioned that he has been familiar with some of those items in our data sets that we have available. So we came up with this idea here, enhancing soil data integrity, application, and management as another topic area, kind of a broad category that would include modeling soil property data for quality control, soil survey integrity, and things we could do to promote that, property data for trends and erroneous information. Again, looking at this QA/QC kind of thing. What are the limitations of using the data that attribute existing soil survey? The idea was put forth about cookbook interpretations and I think materials and methods perhaps for how to utilize interpretations or maybe add new ones. There is an idea about having an MLRA soil systems manual that again might fall under this sort of data handling category. Another category here was critical zone soil survey. Again, with interpretations, saltwater intrusion, blue carbon, mapping updates, new interps relevant to national disaster planning, which might be new mapping or new properties to collect, etc. And then an idea was put forth about a particle size sorting DSM project. Another category we identified was urban soil resources. So we had some discussion about microplastics in the environment, PFAS, and how that might be included in the Artisol characterization. And then some points about aerosols as they relate to soils. And then there were a collection of other items that we kind of categorized without their own topic area, including saline sodic soils, global dust issues, soil erosion from extreme events, the use of drones for on-demand remote sensing and project-based activities. There is this idea of legacy sediments within the Piedmont, which I'll kind of highlight here. Some comments from Dan Richter at Duke, who wasn't able to attend in person, but sent information via email. And then this challenging concept between paleocolluvium and our current definitions of alluvium, colluvium, and residuum. So those are the general categories. I've got some other points here I'll just run through briefly from Dan Richter. He's been doing a lot of research in the Piedmont for a long time. A lot of it has focused at a critical zone observatory in the Calhoun near Union, South Carolina, which is in the western part of the state, southwestern part of the state. And so one of these is focused on legacy sediments here with accelerated erosion from the 19th century forward. And then the other thing is related to this paleocolluvium and paleoalluvium in the Piedmont uplands, where they have found our typical sea soil, which we think of as a soil formed in residuum, which is actually formed above what looks to be paleocolluvial material, right? So there's this idea of what is our residuum versus paleo parent materials. So that's pretty much all that I have in terms of introducing the topic areas. And at this point, maybe we can just kind of open the floor for discussion and see if folks have ideas about other items to include. And then we can discuss these a little bit in more detail.
Matt, I had, so we're working with the geoscience department at NC State, and there's a pretty big interest right now in, falls under, I guess, urban soils, but it's kind of overlaps with legacy sediment. So there's a sort of real big push or interest in urban areas, thinking about riparian corridors right now, specifically because the mapping is so poor. It was a non-priority area. So they tend to be complexes and associations with like 40% inclusions of wetlands. And so it's basically these giant linear units of Chuakla with 40% wetland zone. And so in urban areas, it's kind of problematic for planning utilities going through these areas. And the other major thing is water quality improvement functions. So like ability to trap nutrients or denitrification, phosphorus. We don't know too much about it. And this kind of falls into legacy sediment as well. There's a lot of legacy sediment in these systems and how that affects sort of thinking about these urban areas where the hydrology is really flashy and thinking about restoration potential and things like that. So it's just, I think it would fall more under urban soils, but it's they're not actually built on. It's sort of those riparian corridors and urban areas are getting a lot of attention right now. So that might be something of interest that would really pair with the the soil survey approaches that we do in NCSS.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that.
Yep.
That idea.
I have two ideas that kind of go together or could be looked at separately. The first one, Matt, we briefly didn't have time to really go into earlier, but we're spodosols along the coast. There's a lot of these spodosols as more development is occurring are being developed, and the BHBS horizons are, because they're nice and dark with that or little bit of organic matter they do have, they're being utilized for surface soils to grow urban landscapes. They're also being used for agriculture. And so there are a lot of issues with that. And just looking at how they are documented in the soil survey, and if we could provide more information regarding the concerns with utilizing them for growing plants. And then the second one is looking at soil water repellency as a potential DSP. And my grad student does have a poster on this. Hopefully posters will get posted in the next few days, guys. But soil water repellency is something that's not well documented here in the Southeast, but occurs across the world naturally in soils as well as in man-made soils. But instead of monitoring infiltration rates and hydraulic conductivity, this might be actually a better, easier, and more cost-effective way to monitor soil hydrology. And so we'd like to look at a study on this. And while water repellency is mostly contributed to the type of organic matter that's in the soil, and I'm not actually talking about burned. Burned is out west. Those are the forests and stuff. And actually we have some here too in our forest, but more in on our coast again too. But even in our row crop soils or systems, water repellencies tend to be associated with the type of organic matter, and then there are climatic issues that will go ahead and exacerbate it. But I think it might actually be a good DSP, and especially looking at these spodosols, because the spodosols, the type or quality of organic matter that's in there you would think would be high in these organic compounds that create water repellency.
Cool. Yeah. I think there are some situations where it might even be useful in a forest setting as well, where there is more prescribed burning, because there's so much prescribed burning that happens across the region. Georgia, like the largest economic driver for the state is forestry. And I mean, forestry and agriculture, right? If you depends on how you tease them apart, but there is a lot of prescribed burning. I know that happens in Georgia, especially in the coastal plain, but even in the Piedmont, probably the same across the Carolinas.
Yeah, and in Florida too. I mean, anytime you have that prescribed burning, depending on the how high that temperature is going to influence the water repellency, as well as the melting of the sand particles, right? And creating a nice slick sheet of mineral to have erosion occur on top of it.
Yeah, great ideas.
Hey, Dara, how are they using that for urban development or agricultural purposes, the Spodok horizon?
So on the coast, because the shallow water table is so high, so close to the surface, what they've been tending to do is putting a ditch around where they're going to develop, and they make that deep ditch, and they say, oh, look at this BH horizon, BS horizon, it's beautiful, let's keep it to the side. and use that as our surface soil when we're putting our landscaping in. So they save it and then they build up the soil and put the house or building on it, and then they'll put the soil around it. We also, my very first extension project when I got, or problem that I got called out on when I was here to help with, was a capping of a dump with this type of soil, because the environmental firm did not test it at first. And so they basically had to recap it and put new soil in because they couldn't get anything to grow because the pH was too low and the aluminum was out the roof.
Right.
So it's, and I have farmers on the coast too that are having issues with J rooting, poor quality, not just because of the acidity, but also because of the aluminum toxicity. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Interesting. Great. Hey, Matt, real quick, if we could add like coastal zone or our subaqueous soils to microplastics under the urban, I think that microplastics do affect our coastal zone soils as well, just due to their fluvial nature and the amount of microplastics that are suspended in water suspension, and then also with uptake of marine animals as well. So sweet, thanks. Thanks for sharing. That was pretty cool. That's wow, interesting.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. I think one of our challenges today is going to be trying to package up these ideas into relevant categories, because like this addition of microplastics to critical zone soil survey, also in urban soils, so those things are overlapping. Clearly we had some challenges trying to figure out where carbon needs to go. It doesn't need to be its own category, or should it just be a part of these others? And so that's, I think we still have, so we've only been here, what, 30 minutes. We've got time to kick around other ideas. And then I think the most challenging thing might be our discussions of organizing these topic areas. But I don't want to cut off the idea generation quite yet if others have more.
I can share a couple ideas that I have. So it's maybe something in climate change, like climate change or climate effect on the microbial composition. And specifically like understanding or studying microbial composition in urban soils. There are some studies that are done, but I don't know how they are applicable to other cities. Like there was one in New York City that my colleagues did, but I think there's way more to go to investigate microbial communities in urban environments, but specifically how they will change with the climate change. And also how climate change and extreme extreme weather events will affect the soil pollution distribution. Like with the flooding or hurricanes, especially like in Louisiana or other states that have so much industries. And I'm wondering how it's going to change the distribution and extent of pollution. Is it going to wash away, take it somewhere else? Like, is it transporting, or it's translocating in the soil profile? So I think they're still unknown when it comes to climate effect on pollution. And someone that mentioned sediments, so contamination maybe in river sediments. Like Mississippi, for example, it brings so much into the coast. So I don't know if it's well studied, maybe you know better than me. I'm still new to the South. If they quantify the heavy metals or other pollutants in rivers, including Mississippi, there might be other rivers that goes to the coast and then goes to, eventually to bays or gulfs or directly to the ocean. So what the river sediments actually contain and distribute in the coast.
Yeah, do you think that would be a coastal zone soil survey category, urban?
I'd probably coastal more. It doesn't have to be urban because yeah, it could be, but doesn't need to be.
A lot of those pollutants can be coming from agricultural
Mhm.
systems in the larger rivers too.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Is this, I don't know, if the plant or vegetable contamination is part of this discussion? Just an idea that I don't know if it fits here or not, but like agriculture, for example, it grows so much produce, but a lot of pesticides do have metals. My expertise in heavy metals, so my ideas related to that a lot. So a lot of we did the studies in Duke Farm in New Jersey, which is it's a farm, and we did find some lead and arsenic uptake in some plants that were growing, and we did remediation. But how many farms stay unknown and unquantified, how much is actually going to crops? So I wonder if this could be part of the research interest to quantify metals or other pollutants in crops that are growing. It could be agriculture or urban environments, and it would be implication for food security eventually.
Maybe soil, would that be soil health potentially? I mean, that's soil health is where we normally measure the dynamic properties, but I guess maybe, we can reorganize too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's related to plants. So it's plant uptake, and yeah, it could be soil health because it would be closer out of all. Yeah. Plant uptakes of pollutants in agriculture soils, at least, or maybe urban soils, but agriculture probably would be more related here.
Okay, great. Other ideas for topic areas? Anyone have anything I'd like to share?
Hey, this is Richard Reed, soil scientist in the Central National Technology Support Center. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. All right. Hey, Anna, how are you? Sorry to jump in like this kind of unannounced, but I wanted to point out that oftentimes interpretations and research priorities go hand in hand. Actually, they always do. So while these research priorities are super critical, I also think that some of these items may need to be considered or proposed over to the interpretations committee, like this cookbook and MLRA soil systems manuals, things like that. I don't know if that's a research priority or if that's more an interpretations related thing. And obviously a lot of these topics feed right into interpretations, down the road, like the national disasters planning. A lot of our national catastrophic event interpretations have come directly from the research side of things. So like the science of burial and things like that. So, and PFAS is another one that for sure we needed additional research in, specifically more research on soil sorptive capacity, soil property effects on adsorption of PFAS, because they're pretty unique compounds. So as far as additional research, that would be one real specific thing. The other idea I wanted to propose too is on the carbon side of things. Sorry, I know I'm talking fast. I'm just kind of sputtering stuff out.
You're good.
Um,
Yeah, you're fine.
I'd like to see some more research. I know there's been a lot of research on biochar. I'm trying to think of how to tie this in with agency priorities, internal agency priorities. You know, biochar is thought to have a lot of benefits on dynamic soil properties, but there's still to me some unanswered things there, and I'm not sure exactly what those unanswered questions are, but it doesn't feel like we have all the answers on biochar as far as what its real benefits are. I could be wrong about that. Dara, you may know more about it than I do, but it just in some of the agency or initiatives that we have going on, it seems like we always have questions that we can't really answer on biochar. So I'd like to see some additional research on biochar too.
So would that just in for different uses or for amendment of different soils?
Yeah, I mean, as a soil carbon amendment, you know, there's a lot, you know, all the research points to increases in available water holding capacity, and that there's potential bulk density benefits, you know, like decreases in bulk density, and that there's increased nutrient exchange. But there's also a lot of, for instance, like nutrient tie-up. You know, how we know that in certain soil types perform very well with the addition of biochar, right? Because maybe they have low pH or they have low CEC or whatever, and so by the addition of this type of carbon amendment, we see, you know, increased nutrient exchange and things like that, and water holding capacity, you know, all the good things that are associated with soil carbon amendments. But it seems like there's still some unanswered questions on how much nutrient tie-up do we get with the addition of biochar? Like, do we have to worry about it tying up all of our nitrogen that we need for our corn crop or our wheat crop or our cotton or soybeans or whatever we're growing? Is there a negative effect there that we need to, you know, because as an agency, if we're going out and we're talking to producers about using this type of stuff in a field setting, you know, we need to make sure that we're not recommending something that could be detrimental to their operations bottom line. So
Yeah, I think there are so many different types. The source of the biochar, the pyrolysis of it, definitely influences its use. And I mean, we've even seen some increase the cation exchange capacity, but then hold on, kind of like what you're saying, to those nutrients. And depending on the nutrient, some of them have been holding more sodium. So, I mean, it's still, and the fact that there's really no turnkey operation for large production systems is an issue too.
mhm.
I, yeah, I wonder if, just like almost like research in the sense of a literature review and a paper that is more stakeholder friendly and for your employees would be the first place to start with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes a great sense, because we ran into this, we just recently put on the Federal Register, the Conservation Practice Standard 336, which is soil carbon amendment standard. And in that is biochar is included. And so we did a really thorough review of the literature. And you're right, it's there's a lot of stuff out there, and there's a lot of differing opinions on the benefits. And like you said, feedstock source makes a big difference. Pyrolysis temperature, the length of time of pyrolysis has a lot to do with it. So I mean, a literature review would be a great first step in determining what potential needs are there and where the gaps are.
Yeah, I think one of the tasks here is to try to come up with topics that are definitely relevant for our region, but also something that's broad enough that it could be pitched to multiple collaborators, for developing research projects. Something, I don't want to belittle the idea of, a biochar topic. I just think it's important that we have this as an option, as a possibility, under a category. It could be listed, but I think, as was mentioned in the last committee meeting that was just concluded a little while ago, this idea of having very succinct bullet points about items that are going to then be sent up to the leadership are important. So we want to be careful about how, I don't know, our challenge, I guess, is to try to simplify the topic areas so that they're broad enough to appeal to a diverse group of people within our region. Anybody else? I don't know. Kamara, do you want to jump in with anything? I don't want to completely direct everything.
No, it's been flowing. Some great points are being made. So Richard came in and hit the nail on the head there on some things we need to look at. So, and keep in mind. But no,
Okay.
I think we can just keep flowing. I think we'll have more discussion. I think as you scroll on down, possibly. So I'm good for now.
Okay, thanks. All right, are there other ideas about new items? I mentioned the last committee meeting that was just concluded. There was a lot of focus on ecological sites in that meeting. And I recognize that we did not include anything about ecological sites in our topic areas this time around. That's been in, a lot of our heads lately because of the national initiatives to expand development and use of ESDs and state transition models. So would anybody, I don't know, support the idea of adding ecological sites in some capacity to our list?
Can they be tied into any of what we have? I don't know enough about it, so.
And I guess that would be my thing. We're tying it in so many different groups. It's difficult to tie them all together. So I guess we just need to keep in mind a specific research goal. And that was kind of what we were hung up on a little bit there in the meeting prior to this one. So.
It seems like to me like the ecological sites are more of a process. And I don't really know what research items would tie in to that.
I think the carbon and soil health components are natural for ESDs in terms of understanding things like management influences on carbon, management influences on other DSPs and soil health, because we've got this idea of an ecological site being a unique set of soils and microclimate and its capacity to support different suites of vegetation. And so if that's the template, maybe that's the tool that we could use to leverage some of our research and carbon and soil health and possibly link that up with interpretations, right?
Yeah, and I think this is Aaron. I was just thinking about all of these ideas and making sure that we're identifying the resource concerns that would be addressed through this research. And you know, when we wrap in ESDs and we start talking about the impact they have on a lot of the resource concerns that we have and the programs that we have, the initiatives that we have, that we make sure that we're tying all of that together and putting a nice bow on it at the end of the meeting. So that was just a thought that I had while I was listening to all of this.
Yeah, definitely that delivery, that's important so that we can summarize things and send it up the chain. So I'm not hearing a lot of other ideas. Maybe, you know, we could always add them as we go, but in the interest of saving some time to actually discuss how to organize and rank, I think maybe we should move on to that as a task. So as I mentioned, these topic areas we came up with started out from our poll that was collected, you know, across the region. We've since added to this and tried to organize it, put into something meaningful. And so these aren't ranked. They're not ordered by rank, but they're just ordered by category. So maybe I would like to get maybe some input here. Is there one topic area that might float to the top that would make it easy to start with in terms of a carbon climate, soil health, soil data integrity application, critical zone soil survey, I'm sorry, coastal zone, not critical zone, coastal zone soil survey, urban soils, and then we've got a suite of other project ideas here as well. Anybody, do we want to try using the reactions like thumbs up to vote, or do you want to just do an oral vote on how we can start organizing these areas?
What, you know, if ecological sites seems to be the theme, can we, and you already started putting some things that we already have above it into that section. Why don't we try to populate that? I think that moving forward, if we have ecological sites as a theme from multiple committees, we might have a better chance at getting some of this funded and the work getting done.
True, good idea. So that could be like the wrapper for multiple things here. So we could, I'm gonna take that idea and I'm gonna put it at the top. Right. So
maybe we go through the list as is and see what fits in there. And then what else we think is still, I mean, there's so much good stuff in this list. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, and try to just narrow it down a little bit.
sure. So we've got, at this point, I started a sub list just from the topic areas. You know, so I think soil health is a natural fit. I've had some experience with that, soil health, and also with carbon scaling through the structure of ecological sites and STMs. And I think there's a lot of utility for that. And, certainly there's room to grow in terms of coastal zone soil survey, one initial survey, but then, I don't know, Matt and Rob, you'd be able to probably speak more about what kind of STM or ecological site data is being collected that might be fitting well with new surveys in the coast. Would you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we have, I'd say, 2 major projects in histosols, coastal histosols in North Carolina, looking at salinization, so transitions from freshwater to ghost forest to stable marsh systems with saltwater intrusion, wetland systems. And then we also have the step beyond that. So that's salinization on land, and then we're doing subaqueous soil evaluations. So the ultimate transition going underwater, we also have that information. So I think we have a lot of information on coastal wetland histosols, specifically in the southeast, that we could make something with data that's already being collected. Other than that, we have very little information in the southeast on our mineral soil, like how our mineral soils of different composition are responding to the same processes. So at a national level, salinization risk as an interpretation is being debated because sandy soils, clay soils, organic soils respond differently to the same stressor, which is sea level rise. And we know very little about it. So our initial work has been in histosol landscapes. I'd say, speaking from North Carolina's standpoint, we know very little about, or relatively little about our analogs that are mineral. So there's just like a ton of things that need to get done in coastal zone, but I think you can wrap them into ESDs. You could wrap that into carbon and climate, even soil health with salinization affecting. We're doing some farm work as well, and so how is salinization affecting soil health? So I would think of these, if we're going to pick 3 as overarching things that don't exclude people. So if you're interested in coastal zone, you could apply. If you're interested in urban soils, you can apply. You could apply to carbon and climate in either of those. If you're interested in forestry, you can do that. So I would kind of think of this, if we have to pare it down to things that are open to multiple interpretations from folks. So, ESDs, I think carbon and climate is really big right now. Obviously, not a problem that's going away anytime soon, many implications. And then soil health is, a big thing right now as well. And I feel like those are wide, broad topics that you can fold a lot of these sub, areas of interest into, and you could even partner, with multiple people that might be interested in different processes and get a larger proposal. So if I'm interested in coastal zone and someone's interested in something up the reservoir or up the river system that's affecting the coastal zone, you could chain things together and get more of a holistic sort of view out of, one of these bullet points. So that so we're just narrowing this to 3 topics, then they go to the nationals. Is that correct? And then it just sort of, something will be picked that.
Yeah. Maybe Dean, were you going to speak?
Yeah, I was just gonna take a little step back on what Matt was speaking to about the coastal zone and ecological sites. Matt can tell you himself, because I've seen him out there waist deep in the mucks on the coast of North Carolina, that when these surveys were mapped many, many years ago, a lot of them, our thinking was still mainly based on agriculture. So a lot of these coastal zones didn't really get the care they should have when they were being mapped. And Matt can tell you a lot of the map units that are out there aren't really what they are on the published surveys. So just tying that back in the ecological sites, I know the folks working on ecological sites will tell you that they lean on our soil maps a lot. So to update that mapping alone is a good thing to tie it into the ecological sites. At first, I was kind of didn't like you putting the ecological site topic up top, but now that we've kind of discussed it, I'm kind of liking it. because I can see how all these tie in. Because then I think you think back, even going back to the mapping, it ties into Aaron's topics about the holes in our data, and the data quality can also go back, because that's going to also enhance the ecological sites and the quality of those. So the more I think about ecological sites in there, I do kind of like it as a topic, because we can tie a lot of these into that. So anyway, if that makes any sense, I'm kind of babbling.
Yeah, Matt, I was just going to build on that, what Dean was saying, and what Matt Ricker had said was basically that the ecological sites, the research that we're doing and what we're listing here is going to help inform the ecological sites themselves, or inform those soil series, those official soil series descriptions, the soil survey itself, and then make a better ecological site description concept and product. So I'll stop there. That's sort of personally how I sort of see it.
So does that mean that the larger focus on actual coastal zone soil survey efforts would come first before ecological site and STMs could be created, right?
Yes and no. I mean, they should be built, concurrently, or, they should support one another and not build. What one shouldn't be without
this is
the
Aaron.
other.
Oh, sorry, Rob. Go ahead, Rob. Didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good. You're good. No, you're good. I mean, they should be built together, if that makes sense. No one topic is more important than the next. So coastal zone's not more important than ecological site development. So they should be built concurrent.
And that's, I was just going to say that the ESDs are sort of the bow on everything that we're doing today. In that, and I've said it from the time that we started ecological site descriptions in this part of the country, that the ESDs are vetting the soil data, and we're finding where our data has holes in it because the ESDs and the PESs aren't playing out the way the vegetative community is, or the way our ecologists are seeing them. So, so yeah, I really see the ESDs as, the umbrella that we're dealing with, and then how does everything fall underneath of it, whether that's subaqueous or terrestrial or photosols, carbon, whatever it is, how does it fall under that umbrella? So, yeah, let's, figure out how to sort these things out.
That's great. Thank you, both Rob and Aaron. Roy, thanks for the comment here. So I'm going to read this for, I guess, Aaron's benefit. He's on the phone. Roy said that each region's